Before the story begins, a message for everyone watching her brave stories. If you believe courage isn't about rank, size, or reputation, but about choices made in the worst moments, subscribe to her brave stories. And tell us in the comments, where are you watching from? They doubted him from the very first day. Not openly, not loudly, but in the way men exchanged glances when he spoke. In the way conversations paused when he entered the room. In the way orders were repeated to him twice, slower, as if he might miss something the rest of them already understood. Deputy Commander Elias Mercer noticed all of it, but he just didn't respond. The forward operating base sat like a scar carved into the Afghan mountains, surrounded by dust, wire, and suspicion. FOB Kestrel had been active for less than a year, but it already carried a reputation. High-risk patrol routes, unpredictable insurgent movement, and a command turnover rate that made higher headquarters uneasy. Colonel Nathaniel Cross had taken command 3 months earlier. Mercer arrived 2 weeks after that. On paper, Elias Mercer looked wrong for the job. Too quiet, too controlled, too ordinary. That he wasn't tall for an officer. Didn't carry the booming authority many expected from someone wearing the deputy commander's insignia. His service record was impressive: decorations, deployments, commendations. But none of it came with the kind of dramatic legend soldiers like to rally behind. And oh, viral stories. And oh, whispered myths. And oh, you won't believe what he did. Tales passed around the mess. Just lines of ink in a file. And soldiers trusted legends more than paper. The first briefing set the tone. Colonel Cross stood at the head of the operations room, hands braced on the table, eyes scanning his officers. Maps glowed on screens behind him. Routes, villages, threat markers. This AO doesn't forgive hesitation, Cross said. We move smart, fast, and together. Heads nodded. Then Mercer spoke. Sir, if I may, he said calmly. Our patrol intervals are predictable. If I were watching us, I know exactly when and where to strike. The room shifted. Did a captain frowned? A major crossed his arms. Someone exhaled sharply. Cross glanced at Mercer. Your suggestion, Deputy? Stagger routes. Vary departure times. Rotate lead vehicles. It'll slow us slightly, but it'll save lives. Silence followed. Then a low chuckle from the far end of the table. With respect, sir, a company commander said, we've been running these routes for months. Predictability hasn't gotten anyone killed yet. Mercer met his eyes. Not yet. The chuckle died. Cross studied Mercer for a moment longer than necessary. Then he nodded once. We'll review the data. The meeting moved on to as officers filed out. Mercer heard it. Book smart. Too cautious. Deputy looks like he's still thinking in classrooms. Mercer didn't react. He never did. Colonel Cross noticed that too. Over the following weeks, the doubts grew. Mercer questioned assumptions. That he asked for secondary confirmations. He double-checked logistics others waved through. Some saw professionalism. Others saw weakness in combat units. Silence could be mistaken for fear, and fear, real or imagined, was contagious. One evening, Cross invited Mercer to walk the perimeter. The sun bled into the mountains, turning the dust orange. Soldiers manned towers, rifles slung, eyes scanning the horizon. You don't say much, Cross said after a while. I speak when I have something useful, Mercer replied. Cross nodded slowly. They don't know what to make of you. That's fine. They think you're holding back. Mercer stopped walking. Sir, with respect, holding back is not the same as holding steady. Cross studied him, searching for something beneath the calm surface. You ever feel the need to prove yourself? Mercer thought for a moment. No, sir. Proof doesn't keep people alive. Décisions do. Cross didn't respond, but something shifted in his expression. 2 weeks later, the first incident happened. A routine patrol, route hammer, took indirect fire just outside a village. No casualties, but the timing was precise. Too precise. Mercer reviewed the footage personally. Their observation post was active for days, he told Cross. They knew exactly when we'd pass. Cross frowned. You were right about predictability. Yes, sir. I should have acted sooner. Mercer shook his head. We still have time. That night, Mercer stayed up rewriting patrol schedules, adjusting movement patterns, coordinating with intel. He worked quietly, efficiently, without announcement. Most never noticed, but the enemy did. Insurgent attacks dropped. Ambush attempts failed. ID placements missed their targets by minutes instead of seconds. Still, the doubts lingered. Until the mission that changed everything. The operation was meant to be simple, that a leadership engagement in a nearby valley. Meet with local elders, reassure presence, gather information. Colonel Cross would lead from the front. Mercer would remain close but slightly back, coordinating with security elements. Weather was clear. Intel showed low threat, which Mercer thought was when danger like to strike. As the convoy rolled out, Mercer scanned the terrain, his mind running through contingencies. High ground, narrow choke points, civilian traffic too light for the time of day. Something felt wrong. Did he keyed his radio? Sir, recommend increasing spacing between vehicles. Reason? Cross asked. Instinct. A pause. Cross trusted data. He trusted planning. But he learned to trust Mercer's instincts too. Do it, he said. Seconds later, the world exploded. The lead vehicle vanished in fire and dust. The shockwave ripped through the convoy, flipping debris, slamming men against armor. Gunfire erupted from the ridgeline. Contact. Contact left, someone shouted. Mercer was already moving. He didn't shout, didn't freeze. He didn't wait for orders. He saw the second blast point before it happened, and he saw Colonel Cross step into its path. Time slowed. Mercer ran. He tackled Cross just as the explosion tore through the air where the commander had stood. Metal screamed. Shrapnel cut the wind. The ground heaved. Mercer felt fire rip across his back. Then nothing but ringing silence. When his vision cleared, he was on the ground, Cross, pinned beneath him. Blood soaked Mercer's uniform. Sir, Mercer said through clenched teeth. You hit. Cross stared at him, stunned. You took it. Mercer pushed himself up, pain screaming through his body. We need to move. Gunfire cracked overhead. Mercer dragged Cross behind cover, ignoring the burning in his lungs, the numbness spreading down his arm. He took command without announcing it. Alpha, suppress the ridgeline. Bravo, flank left. Charlie, smoke out the choke point. His voice was calm, steady, unbreakable. The soldiers obeyed instantly, because in that moment, doubt died. Mercer fought through pain, coordinating fire, adjusting positions, pulling wounded to safety. He didn't stop until the last enemy position went silent. Only then did his legs give out. Medics rushed. They cut away his armor. Cross knelt beside him. You saved my life, Cross said quietly. Mercer winced. Just did my job, sir. Cross shook his head. No, you did more. As Mercer was loaded onto the evacuation vehicle, soldiers lined the route. No whispers, no glances. Only respect. The deputy they had doubted had shielded their commander with his own body, and the story was only beginning. Part 2 will continue the aftermath, the investigations, the unspoken truths about Mercer's past, and the final moment that proves why he was exactly where he needed to be. If you're watching on our Brave Stories, subscribe, and don't forget to tell us in the comments. Where are you watching from? The helicopter vanished into the fog like it had been swallowed whole. Inside the operations tent, no one spoke for several seconds. The rain hammered the canvas roof. Radios crackled with half-heard transmissions from other rescue teams pulling back, grounding aircraft, calling it impossible. The officer who had ordered the launch stood rigid, eyes fixed on the radar screen. God help them, someone whispered. Out over the ocean, Captain Ayla Morgan flew straight into hell. The storm wasn't just bad, it was malicious. Wind slammed into the aircraft from the side, trying to flip it like a toy. Rain struck the windshield so hard it sounded like gravel. The altimeter jumped erratically. Warning lights blinked, then steadied, then blinked again. Most pilots would have turned back already. Ayla adjusted the collective with surgical precision. Easy, girl, she murmured to the helicopter, as if it were alive. If it flown vers. Her mind wasn't on the storm. It was on the people waiting. On the east arm of Orion 9, 7 survivors clung to twisted metal above open flame. She could see them now, tiny heat signatures flickering on her display. One was moving slowly. Another hadn't moved at all. A memory surfaced, uninvited snow. Screaming wind. A mountainside collapsing beneath her aircraft. The sound of metal tearing. Pain so sharp it turned the world white. She blinked it away. Not now, but a sudden jolt rocked the helicopter violently. Damn it, she hissed as an alarm screamed. Engine temp high. She throttled back just enough, riding the edge of failure. The bird shuddered, protested, but stayed with her. Stay together, she whispered again. The rig loomed out of the fog like a dying beast. Fire licked up one side. Smoke rolled into the sky. The east arm was partially collapsed, hanging at an unnatural angle. And there, 7 figures. Some waved weakly. One slipped. Ayla swore and dropped altitude fast. Rescue bird inbound, she transmitted. Prepare for hoist. I'll have to hover blind. Static answered. She ignored it. There was no safe place to land. The heat from the flames warped the air, turning depth perception into a lie. The wind howled between metal structures, creating vicious cross-currents. Ayla hovered anyway. Every muscle in her body locked into perfect control. The hoist operator lowered the cable. Come on, she muttered. Come on. The first survivor clipped in. The structure groaned beneath them as the person lifted away. A section of the platform tore loose and vanished into the ocean. The remaining survivors screamed. Ayla felt the vibration through the controls. Faster, she said, jaw clenched. We're running out of time. One by one, they came up 0.5.6, the 7th. The one who hadn't moved was still lying on the metal. Ayla leaned forward, eyes narrowing. He's alive, she said. Barely. We can't hold much longer, the hoist operator shouted. The engine temperature spiked again. The helicopter lurched. The fire surged. Ayla made a decision that would terrify any sane pilot. She dropped lower. Heat slammed into the cockpit. Alarm screamed. The rotors clipped turbulent air and screamed back. Captain, if we lose power, we won't, she snapped. Get him. The cable reached the last survivor. The man didn't move. Ayla unstrapped. What are you doing? The operator yelled. She ignored him. With one hand still on the controls, she leaned out, stretching impossibly far, fingers straining, until they hooked the man's harness. She yanked. Pain exploded through her leg, the same one shattered years ago. Her vision blurred, but the man slid free. The cable tightened. They rose. The moment the last survivor cleared the platform, the east arm collapsed completely, vanishing into flame and water. Ayla hauled the helicopter upward, engines screaming in protest. Come on, she growled. Just a little more. The warning lights went dark. The engine steadied. They flew away as the rig burned behind them. Only when the fog swallowed the fire did Ayla sag back in her seat. Her hands shook. Her breath came ragged. But she smiled on the ground. The moment the helicopter reappeared, the entire rescue base erupted. They're back. 7 souls confirmed. She did it. She actually did it. The helicopter touched down hard but upright. Medics rushed forward. The officer who had doubted her stood frozen as stretchers came out. 7 of them. Alive. Then Ayla stepped down. She moved stiffly, pain written across her face now that the job was done. The rain soaked her again. Her jacket clung heavy to her shoulders. For a moment, she looked very tired. The man who had shoved her earlier pushed through the crowd. His face was pale. He stopped in front of her. I didn't know, he said, voice breaking. I'm sorry. Ayla studied him quietly. Then she nodded once. Next time, she said softly, don't decide who matters by how they look. He swallowed hard. Yes, ma'am. The officer approached and snapped a crisp salute. Captain Morgan, welcome back. She returned it briefly. I never left, she said. Later, as the storm eased and the survivors were flown to safety, someone asked her the question that had followed her for years. Why did you come back? Ayla looked out toward the dark sea. Because someone always gets shoved aside, she said. And sometimes that someone is the only hope left. She picked up her bag. Before she walked away, she turned once more. If this story moved you, she said, voice calm but steady, subscribe to her brave stories. Her gaze met the camera. And tell us in the comments, where are you watching from? Then she disappeared into the rain, just another figure fading into the dark, until the next life needed saving.